Ted Abernathy. I'm the managing partner of economic leadership, and I've been working with the Missouri Chamber on their Missouri 2030 plan for the last 8.5 years. Every now and then I record a video trying to explain how I think the economy is going in the Missouri area and how Missouri's doing in its competition with other states. Right now, it's been a very odd 3 years for our economy, but the word we're using is that it's renormalizing. As you can see on the chart here, consumer spending and consumer earnings typically are fairly close together. This chart goes back for about 15 years, and you can see the exact moment where the arrow points when the pandemic hit. Immediately, people went home, they stopped spending, and then the federal government started stimulating the economy with those big red, large areas up. And we spent a lot. And you can see that it's taken almost 3 years for the bars to get back together. But over the last 2 or 3 months, spending and earnings are closer together. And we think that'll continue as we move forward. The S&P 500, after last year, really rocky year with just under 20% losses, this year up 11.5% already. And if you look at the trajectory, there was a bubble in Standard & Poor earnings during the pandemic. The drop-off got us back to almost normal, and we're on a more normal trajectory right now. Profit margins have come down just a little in the last year, but they've come back down to the highest level they've been in almost 50 years. So it's a more normalized profit situation for most companies. Unemployment continues to be near record lows. Everybody knows this because they're having so much trouble finding labor these days. But any way you measure unemployment, it's near historic lows. And really the labor force participation rate, which was an issue a year or two ago for prime age workers, 25 to 54, we're actually now at record highs in participation rate. We still have less in the younger people. We'd like to get the people that are 16 to 24, more of them back in the labor force. But for the prime working age, we're just about as high as we've ever been. So labor looks like it's going to continue to be an issue for quite a bit of time to come. Missouri's economy looks a lot like the national economy. You can see the chart here, and Missouri is in the light green. When the pandemic hit, the state lost 358,000 jobs. We're back now about 50,000 jobs higher than that. And Missouri is trailing the national average just a little in job growth, but it's made a good comeback. If you look at non-farm employment since the start of the pandemic, so February of 20 forward, you can see that Missouri's in that group of states that have recovered. There's a lot of states in tan or dark brown on these charts that have not gotten all their jobs back yet. Some economists are worried that they might not get back those jobs, that they might have moved during the pandemic and won't be coming back. But Missouri's had steady job growth over that period of time. If you look at Missouri compared to its neighbors during the pandemic, Arkansas and Tennessee have grown the most, but Kentucky and Missouri are there next. It's just under the national average. A lot of states in the Midwest are under the national average, but Missouri's had a strong comeback. If you look at what's happened in the last 12 months, Missouri is right there. Since they had come back a little stronger than some of those other Midwest states, they didn't have as high a percentage to go. So this year, a little bit lower percentage, but normalized all across. Everybody's on the way back. Nationally, if you look at the U.S., we've gotten our jobs back in every industry except leisure and hospitality and government. And if you look at how Missouri's done, it's actually outperformed the nation in construction jobs, and this is during the pandemic, manufacturing jobs and financial services jobs. So there have been some real bright spots going forward. The last 12 months, construction slowed down in Missouri, and that's something to keep your eye on. But professional and business services have made a comeback during that time. And manufacturing remains very strong in the state, and it's something to build on as we go forward. The metros have been a little different across the state, how they perform. Since the pandemic started, St. Joe's is still a net loss of jobs, and St. Louis is right about even, just slightly above growth. Strong growth in Joplin, strong growth in Springfield, and if you look at the last 12 months, Kansas City's made a big comeback along with Jeff City and Columbia. still struggling to get the jobs back in St. Joe and in St. Louis. What we've seen around the world now is a change in geopolitics, and there's a lot of reshoring going on. 7 out of 10 U.S. companies say they're going to bring some jobs back to North America, either Mexico, Canada, or the U.S. The change in manufacturing jobs over the last 12 years has been a real resurgence that not a lot of people were predicting. A lot of states, including Missouri, have added more than 30,000 net new manufacturing jobs during that period of time. So we've seen a manufacturing renaissance that we think is just going to get stronger as we go forward. If you look at what's happened since the beginning of COVID in manufacturing, the U.S. has grown by 1.6%, Kansas 1.4%, but Missouri's grown by 5.7%. So what we're seeing is a momentum building in the manufacturing sector in the state. In advanced industry jobs, which includes high-tech manufacturing, but also high-tech service jobs, Missouri also growing among the best in the country, over 5% growth over the last 3 years. So in certain sectors, Missouri seems to have found its footing for future growth. The cost of doing business in the country, Missouri is a top 10 best place for doing business in terms of cost. And as we renormalize, we think a few things will happen. A lot of the data has renormalized, but we've also initiated a national industrial policy. That's a debatable thing. There are people who believe it's great, people who believe it's not the way to go, but we're investing in key industries in America now, and whether that's in the chips that we were looking for during the pandemic and couldn't find, medical devices, energy, a lot of investments being made, and it's up to Missouri to take advantage where the opportunities are there. We're also seeing a big change in logistics and supply chains as companies move to multiple sources for their parts, and there'll be lots of opportunity there. And then finally, the geopolitical jolts that we get in things like the Ukrainian war, all of those things will always cause a jolt, and geopolitics is a little more unstable than it's been in the last decade or two. And so we want to make sure as we look forward that we're keeping our fingers on that pulse. I'm glad to be with you about every quarter talking about the economy. Right now, it's a precarious time for lots of states. They're trying to find their new footing. But as we look at the Missouri numbers, it's really positive in the manufacturing side and the technology side, and we'll be looking for ways to build on that. Again, I'm Ted Abernathy with Economic Leadership, and thanks for paying a little attention.